All right, folks, welcome in and welcome back. We are back. This is Off the Edge. I'm Jake Ellenbogen, and he is one of your favorite people that you've ever seen on the face of the planet, Cam Lynch.
Hey, man, I
How we
appreciate
doing,
you.
Cam?
I'm doing well. It's good to chat, talking football again. Finally, these past few weekends, bro, it's been all college football, pro football, all day, every day. So I'm excited to jump into it and hey, share some thoughts on these upcoming games, my guy.
I'm with you, man. So we decided because we're not trying to talk your ear off for 2 hours because we could. Trust me.
Right.
Don't let us do it. We could. We decided to take 6 of our favorite games of the week, the ones we're calling the best games of the week.
Yeah.
And now people may disagree, but we're going to focus, for those of you who are wondering that are tuning in, we're going to focus on the Thursday night football game. We're going to start off with the Bills and Dolphins. We're going to be talking about the Saints and Cowboys. We're going to be talking about the Buccaneers and the Lions, a playoff rematch, another playoff rematch for the Lions, back-to-back rematches. We're also going to be talking about the Falcons and Eagles, which is a Monday night football game. And the Bears and Texans did not make the cut. It did not make the cut. That is the Sunday night game. But I guess, we can make mention because we know Bears fans are out there, so we could talk about the game real quick. But
the Bears.
Bengals
Paint my
Chiefs.
nails for the Bears matchup. just kidding. Shout out to Caleb. Won his first game. That was cool.
Yeah, he really wanted. All right. The Bengals Chiefs, and then we'll finish it off with not finish it off. None of this is going to go in order, but the Rams and Cardinals. Who, look, I mean, obviously we did, believe in Rams together. We've talked about the Rams many times. It's not a shock.
Right.
You're a former Ram. I got Ram stuff in the back.
Yeah.
So we are going to appease that side of our audience, but at the same time, this is one of the best games of the week because the Cardinals look pretty darn good. So those are games that we're going to be talking about. But starting it off, Cam, Bills, Dolphins, man. I mean, this is going to be in Miami. The Dolphins, speaking of which, they were at home and they got pushed hard by the Cardinals. And then you have the Miami Dolphins, who played kind of the weirdest game, very quiet, but you have some of the more explosive players in the league. And both of them had explosives in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And they won on a field goal versus the Jaguars. So interesting Thursday night game. This is the first Thursday night game of the year where you're coming off, a short week. So we're probably going to see some sloppy football, my guy. And you know that better than anybody.
Yeah. Anytime it's the start of the season, you got to, rub out the kinks. You got to figure out, hey, what works, what doesn't work. Hey, as the guys go to the stadium, put your seatbelt on because we know what happens there. We want to beat a dead horse, but there's a lot that was going on there in Miami. But yeah, this Bills and Dolphins matchup, Jake, it's a premium game. It's a primetime game for that division, for the AFC. Dolphins, I know Tyreek Hill is going to have some juice behind him still. This game coming up against the Bills, especially after last week. Some of the keys to victory, Jake, I think at the end of the day for the Bills, they're going to have to slow these explosive guys down, right? Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, Tua Tagovailoa threw for 338 yards, right? My man went off a little bit, earned a 72% PFF grade. So the key for victory for the Bills is slow them down, slow that offense down. And then also on the Bills side, Jake, I think James Cook, he ate a little bit, right? He ran the ball pretty well. And I think to get past that Dolphins defense is going to be a big deal. And also the heat as well. I mean, dog, it's 100 degrees out there. So the Bills are coming up from upstate New York down to Miami. I think that's going to play a factor. But I think they need to get James Cook going. Josh Allen had a decent game, right? The first half of the game against the Cardinals, a little bit slower. Like you mentioned, the Cardinals kind of second to him a little bit. But then he started to heat up a little bit after that. And I think he performed the best out of the most quarterbacks in the league that weekend. So those are my keys to victory for that game. Jake, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, first off, you said it best. It's going to be hot as hell.
Yeah.
And we already know. I mean, come on, Cam. They're wearing the all whites. They're staying cool. They're going to make the Bills. I don't care if you wear red. I don't care if you wear blue. I don't care if you wear pink, but you're not wearing white. we're wearing white.
Yeah.
So we've seen that, many teams when they play in Florida early on in the season, the team in Florida that has the home field is going to wear that white color to try to, obviously mitigate the sun. You're not going to it's not like, unflappable. I mean, it is a big deal, when it's hot, it's hot.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely see that playing a factor. Looking at this game, as of last week, and I want to bring this up, Jonah Williams goes down with an injury, right tackle for the Cardinals, and Gregory Rousseau had 3 sacks. He ate, right? Well, this week, he's got a tough matchup against Austin Jackson, who's really turning in to quite the player at right tackle. Then on the other tackle spot, you got Teron Armstead, right? So you got Teron Armstead, you got Austin Jackson, Eichenberg. So they have some guys on their offensive line. I know they lost some guys in the offseason, but Tua's going to have time. And also, I think Devon Achane is really the player to watch in this one because if he can get going, what we saw with the Cardinals, a big issue for them is that while they were able to put points on the board, a lot of that was because of Kyler Murray in the first half. But James Conner, I think he ran 16 times for 50 yards. If Achane gets going, it's going to be easier for the Dolphins here. So I think this is a really interesting matchup. And it's a different Bills team. No Matt Milano, no Tyrell Dodson, DeMar Hamlin and Taylor Rapp are in your secondary. So it looks a little different than years past. On the flip side of it, though, the Dolphins, they paid Jalen Ramsey, right? So they paid Jalen Ramsey. You got Poyer in the back. You got Holland. I mean, Javon Holland's turned into a really, really good player. David Long Jr. at linebacker. I really like what the Dolphins did in that last game against Jacksonville. But Josh Allen is another level. And you mentioned James Cook. So I'll be honest with you, Cam. I'm going to go with the home team here. When in doubt, go with the home team early on in the season, and especially the home team in a divisional matchup. So I'm going to take the Dolphins here, and I think it's going to be like a 23-20 ball game.
Yeah, I like that, Jake. For me, I like the Dolphins as well. Like I said, I think they have too much firepower, Jake. It's hard to stop all that firepower with the Dolphins are bringing to the table. So for me, I'm going to go, but I think it's going to be a shootout as well. I think it's going to be a shootout as well. I think, there's going to be a lot of points scored. What I'll say, I'll go Bills 31, 30. Let me see. Dolphins 33, Bills 30. I think it's going to be a high scoring game.
Damn.
But yeah, the Dolphins win by 3. That's what I'm gonna call.
I like it. So that's that on the Thursday night game. It's sloppy. So to your point, the sloppiness really kind of plays into an explosive offense. A lot of missed tackles, sliding all over the field. Yeah, I could see that. I'm going to go with 23-20 here, but I could definitely see that. Miami is 2.5 point favorites. So basically they're not even favorites if you're being honest, because you get 3 points on the road or at home. And 48.5 is the over. So interesting stuff there. We move on to the next game. Tom Brady's going to be calling it, and it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys at Jerry World after their very impressive win against the Browns, taking on the Saints, who they're probably tired of hearing about. Yeah, it was nice that you scored 40-something points, but it was against the Panthers, and they're terrible, right? So the Saints are desperately trying, week 2 to come out, have some sort of impact against the Cowboys. Definitely new-looking, type of squad with the Cowboys in a sense. Rico Dowdle, Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook was not active last week, but no Tony Pollard. He is on Tennessee now. CeeDee Lamb is back. He's ready to go. He played last week. He's one of the best. I think he's somehow underrated at wide receiver even still.
Even with
Tyler Guyton. Tyler Guyton is going to be in a lot better shape this week than he was last week. He is an impressive left tackle, young guy taking over for Tyron Smith, who went over to the Jets. And Cam, I'll tell you, when you look at Tyler Guyton, your first ever game in the NFL, and you're going up against Myles Garrett. I mean, iron sharpens iron. Am I right? So
yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing him against another guy that's really good, Cam Jordan.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be quite the matchup, Jake. Saints Cowboys. Some of my keys to victory, of course, for the Saints, slow down Michael Parsons. I know the Saints did pretty well last game with some of their play action pass. They had a lot of play action pass going on, and Derek Carr balled out. Jake, got to give it to him. He balled out. He did a great job moving the football. I think in this game, maybe getting Chris Olave back activated, right? I think he was only targeted 8% of his overall snaps last game. So I think they get him a little bit more active. And then like you talked about, right? It's not too hard to beat up on the Panthers. They're not doing too well. I don't know if it's the time to panic right now, but I think the Saints, they have a chance with that momentum, right? They beat them about by 30 something, 20 something points. So I think with that momentum going to Jerry World, that could be good. And I'm curious, Jake, like what your thoughts about Tom Brady are, right? Like him calling football games. I know it's different from actually playing on the field and what that looks like, but I'm curious what your thoughts are. How do you think he did when he called his game and what that really looked like?
Yeah, I thought he was fine. I think people forget how hard the job is, especially because you are in the position of being the color guy, right? You know, you essentially have to paint in the lines.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy drawing the lines is the play-by-play guy.
Right.
So, you know, the problem is you don't want to talk too much. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. So sometimes silence is actually the best, case because you want to let the moment breathe. We know that because everyone got on Tony Romo, poor Tony Romo calling the Super Bowl. And they're like, he's talking too much. I'm like, no, he's explaining exactly what happened. He's doing his job. Oh, you didn't let it breathe enough. I disagree. But I'll tell you, Cam, looking at the Saints, they have one of the more explosive weapons in the league. And I'm not talking about Chris Olave, even though he is very explosive. I'm talking about Raheed Shaheed, okay?
Yeah.
This guy, he is a game changer. He can help you in the return game, which, by the way, with the new rules, I will get to you on that because you played special teams, and I have not asked you yet your thoughts on that. But the new rules, I think, really help a guy like Shaheed to be even more explosive. And fun fact, last week, the Cowboys actually took advantage of it. We saw Kevontae Turpin take it back for 6 on the kickoff. So, look, I think it's definitely going to lead to more scoring. Shaheed is explosive. You have an offensive line that was really highly questioned, but Fuaga looked really good. The first round pick in his first, action last week, albeit it was against the Panthers. Eric McCoy at center looked really good. And then, I will say, looking at the Cowboys defense, my one concern is that Dan Quinn is not there anymore. DeMarvion Overshown had a great game. A guy that, had a season-ending injury. This is his true rookie season. And you mentioned Micah Parsons. And, when you look at Parsons, he's really kind of the engine to their defense. So I think this could be kind of a little bit of a shootout. I'm going to lean Cowboys here. I'm going to take the Cowboys 28-21. I think that the Saints have some explosive weapons. And, obviously, Johnson, the tight end, looked really good last week. And they have Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara. But I just feel like the Cowboys are, the better team. They're at home. But I do have my concerns. And before I pass it on to you, I do have my concerns because there's no Dan Quinn. And I think Mike Zimmer is being out of football for 2 years. I don't think he's the same level as Dan Quinn. I just don't.
Yeah, that is true. They did cause some havoc, though, right, against the Browns. They did cause some havoc. One thing I will know, Jake, is sometimes when you are sitting out for a while, that sparks a fire underneath you, and you get demoted, whatever that looks like. You now have that extra passion. He sat out some time. Now he has time to sit in the booth and kind of figure out what he wants to do, and it's showing. When it comes to the Cowboys, man, they really got after it that last game. 40 total pressures against their opponent, which is really cool. Michael Parsons had 11. DeMarcus Lawrence, 7 pressures and 2 sacks. So I think those guys are eating. I know the Browns, Deshaun Watson, who knows where he is, where his mental state is, and how things are playing out for him. Does Jameis Winston step in and play for them? We'll see what that looks like. But for this game, Jake, I do have the Cowboys winning as well. I see there's they're minus 6.5 right now. And so I'll go Cowboys for this one. I'll go Cowboys 30. I like the 30 numbers. I'll go Cowboys again, 34. Cowboys 34, Saints 27. Cowboys 34, Saints 27. I'm going to see the Cowboys. Like you said, they're going to be at home. I think they're going to be dialing it up. The Saints fans are going to travel pretty well. This is one of the when I played against the Saints, so when I was with the Buccaneers, some of the better fan bases that I've witnessed, and so I know they're going to be traveling pretty well from NOLA to Dallas. So, but I do like the Cowboys as well, getting that dub. Micah Parsons, player of the game, and we talked about those keys of victory, right? Like Derek Carr, that play action pass is going to be crucial to slowing down Micah Parsons, where he thinks it's going to be a run, and he's playing that run, and then Derek Carr rolls out and finds Olave or somebody out there in the flat or down the field. So I like the Cowboys winning this one too.
Yeah, no, I like that. And I like you both. We both had the 7-point win. So Vegas has them at 6.5. So I think we're on the money there. Mm-hmm. Moving on. This is an interesting one, right? The Buccaneers look good last week. They did. And the Lions, they look like a really good team as well. Their offense did not look as great as we were expecting, though. They are 7-point favorites. It's at Ford Field. It is a rematch of the playoff game against the Buccaneers. I mean, where are we going with this? This is the divisional round rematch. They just had a wild card rematch against the Rams last week, and the Rams had a lot of injuries all over their offensive line. No number one corner. Puka Nacua goes down. So to see that went to overtime, and then the Buccaneers well, to see what Baker did. Look, he did that against Dan Quinn's defense. I don't care what anyone says. I think Washington's going to be a much better team than people realize. I was really impressed with what I saw out of Tampa, but where are you on this game?
Yeah, I mean, I know Tampa right now going against the Lions, it's going to be a long day, right? Jamison Williams, he's been heating up a little bit. I know he had, 5 receptions for 121 yards, which is impressive. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I know he didn't really get active that game as much as he would like to, but I would imagine this game he would be able to take advantage of some of these the Buccaneers defensive backs. I think they had 4 guys go down last game, even though they had a great win there. So those are some of my keys to victory, Jake, is what do the Buccaneers do to put a stopgap on those defensive backs getting bombed on because of those 2 wide receivers. So we'll see how that goes. And then also David Montgomery, right? We talk about the Lions run game. When it came to the Rams, that's what they did. They just kept running the football. And so the Buccaneers are going to have to buckle up and make sure that they're strong in that run game because David Montgomery is going to come with some force there. So stop the run game for the Buccaneers. Also, stop the deep passes. And then for the Lions, just, hey, keep that momentum going. I know when it comes to this football game, is this game, Jake, is this game in Tampa or is this game at at Ford Field, I believe?
Oh, this is at Ford Field.
Ford Field, right, going up to Detroit. Okay, so home advantage. They got some momentum beating the Rams. I like the Lions in this one, Jake. I mean, I know, a couple years ago, it's hard to say at the beginning of the season that the Lions are going to be 2-0, but I do believe this year we can say that the Lions will be 2-0. I see that they're a negative 7.5 favorite for this game. So similar to that Cowboys Saints game, I do think that the Lions will, and the defensive backs of the Buccaneers are hurt. So I'm going to say Lions are going to be up 34, Buccaneers 21. Unfortunately, I know Mike Evans, he went off last game. Chris Godwin did his thing too, but I do believe that the Lions are going to apply some pressure. Aiden Hutchinson, he's still a dog, he's still a beast. That defense is humming. So.
Yeah, and McMillan, they're like, go out there, catch a touchdown. And that's pretty good debut, right? One catch, 1 touchdown. There you go. Cade Otton. I think Baker did a really nice job of kind of spreading it out. We saw Bucky Irving a little bit. The rookie, Rashad White, can do his thing. Mm-hmm. And I think really the key to this game is going to be getting pressure on the quarterback. And on the first side of this, you're going to have to pressure Jared Goff. Yeah, you have to pressure Jared Goff.
He doesn't like it.
He does not like it at all. He's currently rated 28th of all quarterbacks, according to PFF. And, obviously you have Gibbs, you have Montgomery. This defense is big up front. They got Vita Vea, who is an absolute bully in the middle.
Yeah.
And then you have Greg Gaines, and you got Diaby, and you have Tryon Shoyinka. So I do think, looking at this, Tampa does have a shot. My concern is going to be, like you said, St. Brown. I think St. Brown can just get open. He can keep chains moving. Then you have the explosive ability, the dynamism that you get with a Jamison Williams. And then that's not even talking about Sam Laporta. So,
right.
I think the offensive line, we already know, is very good for the Lions. Or, I think the Tampa offensive line is very unproven. Godke, Mauk, Cody Barton's a rookie. So, Bredesen. I think the one guy that's proven is going up against Aiden Hutchinson. If I'm the Lions, I'm moving Hutchinson to the right side. I'm just eating Godke alive.
Yeah.
But hopefully they don't do that. Getting to see a Hutchinson versus Tristan Wirfs matchup is what we deserve after watching AJ Arcuri versus Aiden Hutchinson for almost an entire game. So nothing against Arcuri, but he's not even on the 53 for the Rams. He was called up off the practice squad. He's an emergency guy. So I like to see Wirfs is one of the best tackles in all of football. I'm going to go with the Lions here. I do think Tampa has the weapons, and Baker looked like one of the best quarterbacks in football last week, where if Baker can get it to his guys, can get it to Evans, can get it to Godwin, can get it to McMillan, let's White cook, right? Irving, all those guys. If he's able to spread the ball around like he did against Washington, I think they got a shot. I'm going to say they lose, though, and I'm going to say they lose. This is tough, but I'm going to go 30-26. I think they're going to cover. I do. I think they got enough weapons to do it, but I think the Lions, after last week, and they're probably going to be really tired of hearing how, a beaten down Rams team took you to OT. They're not going to lose this game, not at Ford Field. If this was in Tampa, though, I might take Tampa.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that first game, I know it's just week one, but Baker looked incredible. He threw 4 touchdowns, guys. Let's not forget about that.
He cooked.
He absolutely did. So we both took the Lions. We both took the Cowboys. We both took the Dolphins. Let's see if this continues here. By the way, quick shout out, 49ers Vikings. That could end up being a game, but I just don't trust the Vikings. They went up against the Giants. I don't think the Giants are any good.
No.
I think the 49ers are going to absolutely roll them, if you ask me.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why we avoided that.
Even with Christian McCaffrey out, they're still loaded. Offense is clicking on all cylinders. Defense is too. Fred Warner's unbelievable as well. Debo running the ball at the backfield in the rounds. He's looking sharp with that number 1 on. So, yeah, man. I got the 49ers on that one, too.
And then real quick before we dive into the next game, my upset of the week, I mean, it shouldn't be a big upset, but I think it is. The Patriots, I think they're going to beat the Seattle Seahawks.
I mean, the Patriots are clicking along nicely there, Jake. I mean, I don't mind that upset myself, man. And also too, Jake, I also want to shout out the Chargers. I think, of course, the Chargers are going against the Panthers, so we know how that's going to end. But I just think about Coach Harbaugh, what he's done with that team. I know Dobbins had a hell of a game. He got the game ball after that one. So, I just want to call out, like, hey, the team that we need to watch out for, a team we can't sleep on are those Chargers, because they got some momentum with the new head coach, and they're rocking and rolling.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big win for them. Justin Herbert's not really able to get going. They find other ways to win. J.K. Dobbins goes over 120 yards rushing. I mean, that's some good stuff right there. Next one is Rams Cardinals. And we had to do this because the Cardinals are actually looking like a pretty solid football team. Obviously, first week of the game, but I was impressed. I mean, that first half, the Cardinals outplayed the Bills. Yeah. They honestly probably might have won had Jonah Williams not gone down with an injury. That's when the floodgates opened. You have nobody at right tackle. I don't want to say nobody, because, I do think he's a solid tackle, but, the point I'm making here is Kelvin Beachum is not the same Kelvin Beachum he used to be. And so, you factor that into the fact that you're throwing him in the middle of the game, just like without any preparation. And you're like, hey, block Greg Rousseau. No.
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck with that. Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a veteran. He's 35 years old. He's not quite as, nifty as he used to be. And that's to be fair. And they're going up against the Rams, and Byron Young should be like licking his chops right now with Jonah Williams getting put on IR today. So I guess, Cam, what are your thoughts on this game? You played for, obviously you played for the Buccaneers, so you got to talk about them. You played for the Rams, and we covered the Rams in detail last year, and I know you had a chance to watch the Rams, and you had a chance to see what they did this offseason despite losing Aaron Donald to retirement. Where are you on the Rams going into Arizona with some of the injuries they have, which we can get into, but a very, I would say, inspiring heartbreak loss suffered in Detroit?
Yeah. As we talked about, there's no moral victories, but I think at the end of the day, you said it on a couple other shows, Matthew Stafford is showing that he's the top 5 quarterback in the NFL, knowing that he has no time to throw the ball. He gets the ball out of his hand pretty quickly. He has Cooper Kupp to throw to. Cooper had, 14 receptions, 110 yards. I know Puka Nacua went out. And so to see what he can do with that team is really awesome. One thing I'm going to call out, Jake, the keys to victory, stop James Conner. I know James Conner only had 16 carries, 50 yards, had a touchdown, did all right against the Bills. But we know that James Conner is a Rams killer. And so if we can figure out how to stop him, I think that's going to be really important. Of course, getting after Kyler Murray, but then also keeping an eye on Marvin Harrison Jr. He didn't really go off last game, Jake. I think he only had like 1 catch with 3 targets. So keeping an eye on Marvin Harrison Jr. because I think he's due, Jake, right? He top draft pick.
I do too.
It's about time. And so I think you got to keep an eye on both James Conner and Marvin Harrison if the Rams want to win this football game. And then also too, right, when it comes up Blake Corum, right? What does that look like? I know he hasn't really got much burn yet. Ronnie Rivers played and Kyron Williams played, but I would like to see that backfield making some type of a move there. Hey, maybe put Blake in the slot, have him go one-on-one with some of those linebackers and create some mismatches. But I do think that the Rams have to figure out how to protect Matthew Stafford. And Jake, I'm praying this is not like a rerun of 2 years ago when all the offensive
linemen. I already knew where you were going.
Dude, PTSD. It's like, please do not keep Matthew Stafford healthy. Please keep him healthy. And so I think it's really important that, hey, it's going on week 2, Jake. We got a long season left. So let's figure out how to keep Matthew Stafford healthy. They went into overtime against the Lions. And so, hey, these guys are probably tired. So make sure that he's good to go. Older gentleman, right? Hall of Famer. But let's keep him healthy there for the rest of the season.
No, I get it, Cam. I think every Rams fan was like, no, is this 2022 all over again? And to be fair, I mean, before the game against the Lions, it looked like 2022 all over again.
Yeah.
Puka Nacua going down in joint practices, right? Losing Darion Kendrick before anything even started, they lose him to a torn ACL, and he was making strides. The whole camp, you have Trey White coming from an Achilles, so he's trying to get back up to speed. And then you have Darius Williams who goes down. And then you find out, Havenstein and Note Boom and Alaric Jackson, these guys are all banged up. And then Jonah Jackson's banged up. And you're like, everyone's banged up. And of course, Tyler Higbee's still not available because of Kirby Joseph's dirty hit. So there's a lot of guys that, are dealing with injuries. And I mean, that's just the way it is, I guess. But the Rams have it worse than anybody right now to start the season. I will say this, Cam. I think they get good news this week. I think Havenstein plays, which allows Warren McClendon Jr. Yes, that Warren McClendon Jr. on this show we talked about as a sleeper coming out of the draft. Warren McClendon Jr. moves over to left tackle, where he actually played a little bit in camp with the ones on days off for a Note Boom or an Alaric Jackson. Speaking of Jackson, the other Jackson, Jonah Jackson, will probably play left guard. And Bo Limmer, their impressive 6th-round pick, who looked pretty solid against the Lions, being thrown in the fire in his first ever game. I think Bo Limmer gets the nod at center. Dotson plays right guard, was listed as the 2nd best guard in the league through the first week of the season. So you wouldn't even know that he left the stadium in a walking boot, right? He
Right.
was playing. He was playing through the pain.
Jeez.
I think they get good news on both him and Havenstein. I do think McClendon Jr. plays the left tackle. They just placed Noteboom on IR. Alec Jackson, good news, will be back week 3 from his suspension. So they will have their starting left tackle who only gave up 1 sack last year. But Cam, obviously a lot of people look at this game and they're like, the Cardinals looked really good against the Bills. The Rams don't have Puka Nacua. I don't know about this one. And I would say slow your roll because Tyler Johnson, this is a guy that has played in big time games, not a ton of them, but he's actually the infamous pass interference call against the Packers in the playoffs to send the Buccaneers, I believe, to the Super Bowl. I think that was the game. Tom Brady threw that to Tyler Johnson.
Yeah.
And Tyler Johnson, you saw that play, his 63-yard scamper after he caught that. He made guys miss. He juked like 5 guys. He looked good. Cooper Kupp, I mean, as long as Cooper Kupp's still trucking along, you're fine. Yeah. Kyron Williams. I mean, a lot of what they wanted to do, Cam, it was held back because of those injuries in the interior. They weren't able to run the football anymore. Sean McVay even mentioned they just basically scrapped the game plan. So I'm excited to see what their game plan is. And let's be honest here, you know, on one side, James Conner might be a Ram killer. Well, Kyron Williams is a Cardinal killer because last year was insanity.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the Rams in this one, Cam, 27-13. I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be like a 20-13 ball game. And then, you know, around the 2-minute mark, I think the Rams get that final nail in the coffin punch in the end zone. And it comes out looking like 27-13.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I like 27-24, Jake, for the Rams. Get this dub. It's a divisional game, right? We lost to the Lions. It counts as 2. I know the Lions is a divisional game as well, but this is like within their wheelhouse there. So they got to get this dub against the Cardinals, Jake. They're going to see them twice, and so why not start off strong? Another call out, Jake. Kobe Parkinson. I mean, coming from Seattle, right? He's seen the Cardinals multiple times as well. I know last game he had 3 catches for 45. So I think having him as a target now that Puka Nacua is out and making sure that he's active. Like you said, Tyler Johnson, he's a gamer. At the end of the day, he's a gamer. He can make explosive plays. So I like that 27-24 is going to be a tight one because it's going to count as 2. These are the Rams. We don't like the Cardinals. You know what I mean? That's just full stop. As the Rams, we do not like the Cardinals. We don't like the Seattle Seahawks. We don't like the 49ers either. So, and I know this show, we're impartial, Jake, but at the end of the day, when it comes to these matchups, I think it's important to know for people listening that, hey, it counts as 2 and at the Rams have to go get it. Because if they don't go get this one, Jake, and the offensive line is out, it's going to be a long season. So I think this is a must win for the Rams if they want to be sitting pretty towards the end of the season. So Rams got to get it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll say this. The most damning thing, if you're a Cardinals fan, just know the Cardinals are 2-13 in the last 15 games against Sean McVay. They have not won in Arizona against the Rams since the St. Louis Rams in 2014. So it's been a while. And furthermore, Brett Coleman, at Brett Coleman on Twitter, put this out. Cardinals edge rushers generated a 3.5% pressure rate last week. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure I've ever seen an NFL team do that before. And he's not saying that's good.
Yeah, that's helpful when the Rams offensive linemen, they're hurt. That's super helpful. If they can't get to Matthew Stafford, hey, good luck, because he was getting that ball out really quick. And
Liam Neeson,
yeah,
good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. So we have that taken care of. We move on to the second to last game we're going to talk about. Now, some people might complain because honestly, the Bengals didn't play well enough in week 1 for this to be considered a great game. But I still think it's week 1. Anything can happen. We have to understand T. Higgins was out. Jamar Chase was holding out. So there's a lot of different things that they were going through. Iosovich, or Yoshivach, I totally butchered that name. Andre Yoshivach, he ends up getting thrusted into a huge role. And the Patriots just had a great game plan for them. So against the Chiefs, I don't remember the last time Patrick Mahomes beat Joe Burrow. I don't know if it's happened, if I'm being honest with you. So this is an interesting game, Cam. The Chiefs are 5.5-point favorites. The Bengals just played like crap against the Patriots. Where are you in this game?
Man, I'm not gonna lie, Jake. That Chiefs defense with Spags, he has them rolling. I mean, they had Lamar Jackson running for his life, Jake. So when it comes to Joe Burrow, hey, tell your guys to eat their Wheaties because they're gonna have to block their tails off. Because Jake, I mean, and Joe Burrow can move, he can run, but he's not as elusive as Lamar Jackson. My guy Lamar Jackson was running for his life. You did mention T. Higgins. He might be back this game. We don't know. I know he had a hamstring injury, so a lower body injury. So we'll see if he's back. That could change their ball game there. I know for the Bengals, they have to make sure that Zach Moss is going again. He had 9 carries for 44 yards, a touchdown, and so he did okay. So they're going to have to get him going because, when it comes to Joe Burrow, he's going to need an outlet. And like you mentioned, we're not sure if Patrick Mahomes is beating Joe Burrow. And for Joe Burrow to get a Super Bowl, he's going to have to get through this team. He's going to have to get through the Chiefs. And at the end of the day, the AFC, pretty much all NFL stops for the Chiefs. And so this is going to be a game for the Bengals to really show who they are and what they are, right? And like I said, that Chiefs defense looks amazing. And then Patrick Mahomes, I mean, dude, he's unbelievable. He's the thing that shocks me the most, Jake, is how many drop passes his receivers have, right? And like he puts the ball right on their hands, and it's a hot potato game with these guys. So every single year, they lead the league in drop passes, but they win championships, Jake. So hey, at the end of the day, if the Bengals can slow down Patrick Mahomes by providing some coverage, getting to him, providing pressure, I think that'll be in their best interest. And then also, you talked about some of these holdouts with Jamar Chase. Hopefully, as time progresses, they can kind of get some gumption going, Jay. Get some flow going, and get this dub. But I do have the Chiefs sticking it to them, bro, because that defense, the way they had Lamar, moving around that pocket, that was unbelievable. So I got the Chiefs in this game, Jake. How about you? What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's tough, but you saw some good things out of the Chiefs defense. I mean, I thought, Leo Chenal really took another step as a player, that I'm really looking at. And obviously McDuffie is established at this point, really good corner. Chris Jones is still Chris Jones. He didn't go anywhere. He's still the same guy. And when you look at the Bengals offense, without Higgins, they did not look right. But I don't think it was just Higgins. I think it's also, hey, Jamar Chase, you can, we support players on this show, so I have no issue with what he was doing. It's a business. I get that. But you can't just assume I can get up, after holding out and just play, right? I feel like it kind of hurt the flow of the offense, to be fair. And I don't know what the deal is with Chase Brown. We talked about him a lot coming out of the draft, last year. They have Zach Moss as well. So they have 2 running backs that I think can kind of alleviate the pressure a little bit if Joe Burrow wants to play the dump-off game. Mike Gesicki looked good catching that touchdown. Yep. They need to utilize him more. I think that having Burrow finally have a receiving tight end that can get open, that's huge. Tanner Hudson, I believe, fumbled the ball.
Yeah.
He had some drops. So they really need to rely on Gesicki. We'll see, if Higgins is 100%, we'll see. I don't know, but I think really this is going to come down to the Chiefs offense. And the Chiefs offense has the fastest player in the world in Xavier Worthy. So,
man.
At least in the NFL, we know that. So, Pacheco, hard runner, fast. We know that. Offensive line. I mean, Sua Matea probably didn't love his debut, if we're being honest, but I think he's going to get better. I mean, he is going to get better. This offensive line's really good outside of him, and he's just going to get better over time. You have Rashee Rice, he's the slant boy, I guess, this year because they can't stop him on the slant.
Yeah.
And then, you have Justin Watson and Travis Kelce. Yeah, I think really when you look at it, if the Chiefs can slow down this if the Bengals can slow down this Chiefs offense, they got a shot. Logan Wilson is one of the best linebackers in football. He's going to have to make some plays. It's tough because you never want to put a spy on a quarterback that's not going to kill you like Lamar, but Mahomes still can kill you even if he doesn't get those long yards like Lamar does. Even
exactly.
just with his legs, his escapability. So it's a lot of pressure on this defense. And keep in mind, this defense did add Geno Stone. He's going to have to make a play. He had 8 picks last year for the Ravens. He has got to be able to get his hands on a football. They got to force some turnovers. They got to put some pressure on Mahomes and make his day a living hell come Sunday. I don't think they do. I think the Chiefs win this game. I think it's going to be somewhat of an ugly game because I don't think the Chiefs are quite ready to be that explosive offense yet. I really don't. So I think we're probably looking at like a 27-20, I'd say 27-17 ball game over the Bengals. But if the Bengals won, I wouldn't be shocked because I'm still very high on them despite their awful week 1 performance.
Yeah. I mean, and also too, like I want to add to it the mistakes. They can't beat themselves. You talk about the Bengals, Tanner Hudson, lost that fumble. Charlie Jones, he fumbled the ball as well. You can't give Patrick Mahomes the football back. If you do, you're going to see the NFL pan past Taylor Swift multiple times because they score touchdowns and they're running off in the win. And so you said 27-17 for that dub. I'm going to go, Jake, I'm going to go 27-21. It is going to be, I think, a closer game than we think. We talk about Joe Burrow. Let's not forget my guy. Had a Super Bowl appearance like his second season playing in the NFL. He's still one of the best quarterbacks to do it. And also too, last year, right, coming off that calf injury, slowed the season down a little bit. And so I think people are looking at them like, hey, what the hell are y'all going to do this year? What is this team going to really look like? And so if they cut down on those mistakes, I think it'll be a little bit closer to that 27-21. But Chiefs, man, like I said, that first game of the season, Ravens versus Chiefs, it was some of the best football we've seen, of course, with the flags. You had the tackle lining up past the line of scrimmage, and then we had multiple flags with that. But, with this division in the AFC, it's going to be competitive. It's the best division in football right now. And at the end of the day, you can't sleep on Joe Burrow, but I do think the Chiefs win this one. And, man, it's Spags. He's going to have to be a head coach at some point, Jake, right? I know he called the timeout during the Ravens game, and it's only meant for the head coach to do.
He's ready.
He's ready to go. He said, what do you say, dress for the occasion, dress for the job that you want. And he's acting that way. And so I think the Chiefs have too much firepower. And are we going to see a three-peat? I don't know, but it's looking like it.
Yeah, it's interesting when it comes to this upcoming game, our last game, by the way, Monday Night Football. You got the Eagles and you got the Falcons. And you and I have picked 5 out of 5 so far. We have the same exact winner. So sorry, guys, not really pretty anticlimactic. But the 34-29 game we all watched. As a former player, I will ask you, what were your thoughts on playing in Brazil? Because I wasn't a huge fan of it. And I felt like that was a big reason why Jordan Love got hurt at the end of the game. I don't think the blame should be put on the young player whose name is totally escaping me right now of the Eagles, defensive lineman.
Who tackled
him? Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
I don't think the blame should be put on Jalen Carter, and absolutely should not be getting threats on social media. That's insane. But what I will say is that Jordan Love, before that hit, he slips. He slips. And he slips because everybody was slipping all over that field. So I get it, but I feel like these games are so meaningful. Having 17 games and just being like, yeah, we're going to play one in Brazil. It's like the first game of the year, too. I almost feel like I kind of want to pick the Falcons in this game just because of the disadvantage of the Eagles coming back from Brazil. I don't know. I call me crazy, but I don't know. But yeah, what were your thoughts on the the whole playing in Brazil and the field surface?
Yeah, so I know we talk about this a lot. We talk about the sport of football. We're talking X's and O's. We're talking about players. We also got to think about the business side of football, what that looks like. And I mean, you think about different leagues. Talk about the NBA. They're playing in China. They're playing in different locations. And at the end of the day, that brings in more capital, more finances. And so I think for the NFL, they're starting to see on the NFL.com shop page where they're seeing people buying jerseys in Brazil. They're seeing people buying jerseys in Mexico. And so they're like, oh, wait, there's that land out there that we need to go and earn some more money. And so not saying it's a money grab, Jake, but I think the NFL is doing their best to keep up with the Joneses, with the NBAs, who is an international in an international game. You think about the Olympics, right? Like I know flags going into the Olympics, and so I think the NFL is being really strategic. They're not looking at next year; they're looking at 10 years from now. What will the game be? They got NFL Africa as well, and so the NFL is looking to stretch their arms and really expand the game of football. And at the end of the day, that's what that was. Now, going to the field, you talk about people were slipping. That wasn't great. We think about like the logo, the NFL logo. People were slipping specifically on that NFL logo. A lot of times it's extra paint that's applied. A lot of times it's they water the grass sometimes right before the game. And so I think one of the announcers was like, we came out here during the week and the grass wasn't this slippery. We walked the field and when we came out pre-game, it was a little bit more slippery. And so, it's a soccer stadium, Jake, and those soccer cleats are different than NFL football cleats. And so, that's just what comes with it. To be honest, moving forward, I'm sure Nike, I'm sure Adidas, and some of these shoe companies are going to have to really figure out, okay, hey, if we're going to be playing internationally, we're going to have to go back to a different type of shoe stud. And so I think that's going to be really important. Another thing that I've been watching as well is some of those helmet caps, Guardian caps. I think that's really cool to see guys wearing them to protect themselves. But at the end of the day, I think the NFL prides themselves on player safety. And that performance, seeing all those guys slip, that wasn't a reflection of kind of what they want to get done. And so Jordan Love hurting his knee, that wasn't great. My man just got paid, and right, the Packers fans were like, man, I'm nervous for this guy because he got paid a whole lot of money, but will he be available? Will he be free? And so, with that happening, quarterback is currency at the end of the day. And so every team needs we talked about the Rams, Matthew Stafford, every team needs a great backup quarterback. And even a backup to that. We talk about the Browns. They need a backup quarterback to step in just in case if things don't go well. So it was unfortunate to see. But they did travel to Brazil, Jake, but also they might have more rest time as well. I think they played last Friday. So they have a little bit more rest time to get back and get acclimated. And at the end of the day, Saquon Barkley, Giants fans are crying their eyes out because Saquon went off, man. He's
multiple reasons,
man. Saquon went off, and I think just going to this game, Falcons versus Eagles, their linebacker Nate Landman, he's going to have the work cut out for him stopping Saquon Barkley. But at the end of the day, the Eagles, they're looking explosive. They're looking dangerous. I know when it comes to Jalen Hurts, he's going to have to cut down on mistakes. The only way that the Falcons have a chance, Jake, is if they force turnovers and if they force the Eagles to make mistakes. But I don't know if I really see that happening this game, and I think the Eagles are going to smack them up.
Damn. This is tough for me, Cam. It's Monday Night Football. I think they could be... It's weird. I think they'll be a little weird because they're coming back from Brazil, but I also think they almost have too much time in between this game.
Yeah.
And that Falcons game against the Steelers, that was really interesting. Like no one scored a touchdown in that game.
Yeah.
So
Kirk Cousins is looking a little suspect,
coming off a torn Achilles. Kirk Cousins didn't look great. Rodgers didn't look great, but week 2 is always a little bit different than week 1, especially when you're coming off a major injury. I mean, hell, Tre'Davious White coming off a torn Achilles and he got burned by Jameson Williams. He had a really good day aside from that, but he got burned. Rodgers threw a pick, and Cousins threw 2, but I look at this and I'm not sold on Philly like I thought I was going to be this year. I'm just not. Jalen Hurts he's rated the worst quarterback in the NFL according to PFF. Now, I think that's ridiculous because Daniel Jones exists, but
damn.
I mean, Caleb Williams threw like 80 something yards, and oh God, Will Levis. Did you see the shovel pass to the side?
Yeah, I know you have.
He Brandon Whedon'd it.
Yeah, that's that mayonnaise cologne he's got going, bro. It just slipped right out of his hands.
Oh, good Lord. But yeah, so really kind of what I'm getting at is I've always been a big defender of Hurts. I thought he played better than anybody in that Super Bowl he lost. Barkley looked really good. He did, to be fair. But, I thought the Falcons did a decent job playing the run against the Steelers. I thought they did a decent job against the Steelers. They gave up the yards to George Pickens deep downfield. But you know who also gave up yards? The Eagles secondary. They gave up a 70-yard touchdown to Jaden Reed. And I look at Darnell Mooney as a guy that could do that in this game, and Kyle Pitts and Drake London. And so I think really where I'm at is the Eagles secondary freaks me out. It really does. And I think Kirk Cousins had a bad game, but I think he'll be much better in game 2. And I think when you look at the offensive line, which I think is really good, there's not a guy on the Eagles that's on the level of TJ Watt. There are a lot of really talented guys on the defense, but there's no one out there that, resembles a TJ Watt. And I like what they did this offseason, the Eagles. I look at this game is going to come down to, in my opinion, Bijan Robinson. If Bijan Robinson can't be stopped, it's going to open up everything on that offense for Cousins. You're going to hit the big play action deep downfield to Mooney, and then that defense might not be the best defense in the world, but I'll tell you right now, Raheem Morris, who is a good defensive coordinator, he's the head coach, but of course he's part of the defense as well. He's got AJ Terrell.
Yeah.
He's got Jesse Bates III. He's got Justin Simmons. He's got Caden Ellis. He's got Trey Anderson. You mentioned Nate Landman, one of the best run defending linebackers no one talks about in the league. He's got him. They went out and got Matt Judon, right? And, I just feel like this defense might not be the best in the league, but it's got guys that can force turnovers, be opportunistic. And sometimes, Cam, if you're not a shutdown defense, being opportunistic is the next best thing. And I think you look at a guy like Jesse Bates III, I can absolutely see a scenario where this game's close and Jalen Hurts goes deep down the field. He thinks he's got Jahan Dotson. And Jesse Bates just flies into your living room and picks it off, and the game flips on its head. I can totally see that. I'm going to take the Falcons in a surprising upset here.
Nice.
I think, we had to disagree, right? We had to disagree on at least one game. That's not why I'm picking them, though. I think what I saw with the Eagles is I thought the Packers should have won that game. I think the Packers blew that game sky high. Absolutely blew it. And it's not to say I think that the Eagles didn't deserve it, but I thought the Packers actually outplayed them. So I'm going to say the Falcons win this game 21-17. Ugly game on Monday Night Football. Kirk Cousins leads a game-winning drive, and we'll say a touchdown to we'll give Mooney the touchdown on a play action pass deep downfield.
Okay, what about Kyle Pitts? Let's see how Kyle Pitts does against this defense.
He could do something.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyle Pitts, he's ready. He had 1,000 yards in his rookie season, and now he's a meme. That's not fair.
Yeah, it's about time for Kyle Pitts to show up, right? It's about that time for him to show up, see what he can do. I think at the end of the day, Jake, you got the Eagles offensive line who I know they got to change that center, right? Jason Kelsey's not there anymore. You got the offensive tackles who are the best in the league with Mailata and Brother Lance. So I think that if Jalen Hurts can protect the football and if Saquon Barkley can run like he knows how to run, like he's been running, they're playing at home, Lincoln Financial, I think the Eagles get this game. I think the Eagles fans are too rowdy. I think they're going to have that momentum flying. And I think the Eagles are going to win this game, Jake. I'm going to say 20, sheesh. I'm going to go this game 27. 27-17. I'm not sure if Kirk Cousins can get it done, Jake. I think they might have to call on Michael Penix Jr., the lefty, to step in and see what happens. But yeah, I'm not really seeing it, my guy. Kirk Cousins, I know he's the money man. He's Captain America. But just the way that they perform against the Steelers, J.J. Watt had a field day. I know you said no one's like J.J. Watt on the Eagles defense, but they got some veteran presence on there. They got some guys who can run. And, man, I think the Eagles take this one away and get the dub out there in Lincoln Financial on Monday Night Football. And you did mention, right, like there's a lot of time in between. So, that the flight delay and, whatever that looks like, getting over that jet lag. But I think the Eagles finish this one, my guy, flying high, and I think they get the dub.
So, fun fact, Kirk Cousins played the Eagles in week 2 last year, and they lost 34-28. The Vikings did. He's ready, man. It was in Philly. He's ready. Kirk Cousins all time has a 6-5 record against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
So he has a winning record against Philly. He's got 26 touchdowns against them, 9 interceptions, a 101.3 passer rating. I'm taking Kirko in this one.
Kirko.
I'm taking the Falcons.
Okay.
And we'll see what ends up happening. But yeah, I'm glad to be back. This is a fun episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, even if you didn't, smash that like button.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Hit that follow. The subscribe button.
Right.
Yes. Hit the subscribe button. And do us a favor and follow us on our socials. All social media at JK Bogan, all social media at Cameron Lynch 50, and all social media at Off the Edge, because I think that's the handle. I'm going to check real quick because it's right in front of me.
Yeah, we got to get it ramped up too, man. This is the first one of the, well, I say first one of the season, but I know we did some in July, but yeah, we're going to get the Twitter booming, Instagram booming, making sure that we get some suggestions on, hey, what people want to hear and what we'll talk about. So
it's Off the Edge Show. So at Off the Edge Show. This is why I appreciate you covering for me while I was looking.
Yeah.
At Off the Edge Show. I don't even know our own handle. But no, we appreciate you guys. Again, share this with somebody if you think they'd like it. And we'll be back next Wednesday. This is going to be a Wednesday thing. We're trying to get it out before the Thursday night game because that pretty much, unless it's terrible, it's almost always going to be featured in our best games of the week.
Absolutely. Man, Jake, it's been great, my guy. I'm looking forward to keeping this going. And for the folks out there watching, we appreciate you. Much love.
Absolutely. You guys take care. We'll see you guys soon.